You want to know what my immediate takeaway after the movie was? Bagpipes are a lot better than people give them credit for. They're kind of cool now. I like bagpipes. Let's begin with this review. Dune, or Dune Part 1 as the film calls itself, was directed by Denis Villeneuve, the man behind movies like Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, Prisoners, Sicario. The man has made a lot of hits over the last few years, and so obviously I was pumped out of my mind to see what he would do with this. Based on a novel by Frank Herbert of the same name, the story follows Paul Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet, a son of a noble family entrusted with the protection of the most valuable asset and most vital element in the galaxy, called the spice. Trying to give a plot synopsis to Dune, whether it be the book or the movie, and sort of giving it that kind of an intro, is kind of impossible, especially if you want to avoid spoilers, because there's so much packed into the story that it's hard to sort of be like, okay, here's a one-liner. So I just decided to use the most basic one that was available. Where do you even start with the review for Dune? I've been wondering that question for the past 35 minutes because what you're watching right now is the 12th take. I'm not even exaggerating. There are 11 takes saved up on a memory card and they're just ending abruptly. I'll speak for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and then I'll stop because I couldn't figure out the right words. Because there is so much to unpack with this thing. For starters, let's just address the idea of a cinematic event. Because every year has one. There's a film that comes out that defines the movie-going experience of the year. It's like, here's this film. This is the one that everyone's going to remember this year for. Like 2015, everybody remembers because of Mad Max Fury Road, right? Or Star Wars The Force Awakens or something like that. Dune, I feel like, is going to be this year's movie because I haven't seen a sprawling epic like this in quite some time. And I count Blade Runner 2049 in this because even though I think that film was a sprawling epic in itself, this somehow makes even that movie look smaller in comparison. I was stunned from each frame in the beginning till the end, just absolutely mesmerized by what I was witnessing. Everything in this film is an audio-visual just smorgasbord of epicness. I was blown away by the mastery on display. And I know I sound hyperbolic, but frankly, I don't know how else to say it. I think Dune is one of the reasons I look at films being made and I think, yeah, man, films, they're cool. I fucking love movies. And this is the kind of film that sort of reaffirms that. And yeah, you get a lot of smaller films that do it too, but when you see the scale of it, just exactly what a filmmaker can do with this kind of a budget, with this kind of storytelling at hand, it just makes you love the entire an entire medium a little bit more than you did before. And I'm so glad this is getting a big screen treatment. Granted, it's also going to be on HBO Max, but this is a film that is meant for that gigantic screen. Even if you are watching it on that, like, unless you're watching it on a big TV with like a blaring home theater system, don't even bother, because this is a film that has to be seen with that entire range available to you. And Villeneuve knows it, and he makes use of it. There are sequences here that are jaw-dropping and will have you just taking you aback in your seat. That's the best way I can put it. And it really did. There's a moment in particular which they actually added because the book sort of cuts away from it and it just sort of goes to what happened after. And I always thought that's a little strange because you could have easily inserted something in here. That entire sequence, it takes your breath away. It is masterful. But I'm not just going to talk about the visuals here throughout. I'm obviously going to talk about the storytelling on display because that's also key in making you get invested in the film. It is very well handled. Having just read the book, maybe things are a little more fresh in my mind, so I'll be able to recollect certain things a little bit more and talk about how the scenes are handled. And perhaps with that in mind, I can say that the first half of the book, as this is part 1 of 2, it's very much handled like a part 1. It basically has the first half or so of the book, a little bit more maybe, of content in here. And I think that seems about right. Because the first half of the book is so incredibly dense, especially the first couple of 100 pages, which are essentially setting up the world that you're looking at and the galaxy and the other political parties like the Harkonnens or the Sardukar and all of that. So when you're seeing all of those things, obviously it takes a minute to sort of process and then eventually get into the stuff that you know really came to see. And that's how the book handles it, and that's how the movie handles it too. And I did like that. There is a faithfulness to the novel, which I did respect. For better or worse, I guess, if you're somebody who wasn't a fan of the novel and was hoping for a more streamlined story, you get that in a couple of places. The book does go expanding, a few more territories here and there, which I think the film could have done. If I had to really go looking for flaws, I'd say that one. But Villeneuve has also hinted that in part 2, if it happens, which we'll talk more about in a second, he is going to add those things in there. So here's hoping that happens too. All the performances in the film are great. Timothée Chalamet as Paul really is very good in the film, as is Oscar Isaac as the Duke Leto. Rebecca Ferguson as Lady Jessica is absolutely brilliant in it, but someone who I was very curious to see in it was Stellan Skarsgard as Harkonnen. I remember thinking when I was reading the novel that I want somebody really imposing and someone much larger than life, no pun intended, who could really capture the role as brilliantly. And then they cast Stellan Skarsgård, and I thought, oh, that's great. That's perfect casting. And the makeup work and the stuff that they've done with him is beyond brilliant. He is menacing, so menacing in the movie. And I'm so glad they did such a good job with him. I'm a sucker for villains. What I mean to say by that is, I'm not I support them in the storytelling, but I think there is a good way of bringing good villains to screen, and if it's something that you can do really, really well, and be yep, that was executed perfectly, I am a little happier about it. All right, they did a good job with that. And I found Harkonnen to be as villainous as can be in this movie whenever he showed up, and I think that they did a wonderful job with him. I think everybody in the film, honestly, is great. Javier Bardem as Stilgar, I thought was really good as well. I want to talk a little bit about Chani, Zendaya's character, because I think a lot of people will see the advertising and go into it expecting to see Chani a lot. In the book, Chani doesn't show up until almost 400 pages in, so I would temper those expectations immediately. So with that in mind, and I just told you it's the first half of the book and then some, a little bit more, you can kind of guess where she factors into the movie at what point. I mean, here's hoping that a part 2 happens, which let's talk about. I would be depressed if part 2 doesn't happen. And I really hope that people go out to the theater, support this, or apparently they're even looking at HBO Max streams for this. Whatever you do, if you're watching this movie this weekend, just watch it. Please watch it. Because I feel like a part 2, if it doesn't happen, I might break. I might mentally break, you guys. So please, if you don't want to see me break. Oh, and last but not least, I am not gonna forget this. Hans Zimmer's score. I mean, holy shit, this is maybe the best score he's ever done. I was absolutely blown away by this. This was incredible to hear. It's loud and blaring at times, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the review, bagpipes. Bagpipes are cool now. I like bagpipes. So yeah, I mean, that's praise in itself. Dune is really a masterwork. This is Villeneuve really going for it, and he does an incredible job of bringing this story to life, well, the first half of it, and I'm hoping that he gets a shot at the second half. But this movie was absolutely masterful for me, and I can't wait to see it a bunch more times going forward. I'm gonna give Dune a 10 out of 10. I'm seeing it again in IMAX very soon, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that one goes. I saw it in standard right now, so let's see what the experience is like on the next viewing. Should be pretty fun. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Have you guys seen Dune? What did you guys think about it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know. Have you guys read the book? What did you think about that in terms of the movie adapting it? I'd like to hear your thoughts on those things. And as always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies.